honestly do not know how to handle the events that have transpired over the past several months. I wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night and look out into the darkness of my room, afraid of something that isn't even there. I was working as a pizza delivery boy for some local pizza shop near where I live. The money was awful, of course, but I was just trying to make a few bucks before college started back up again in the spring. One Saturday night, a call came in around 11:45 and asked for delivery. I typed the address into my phone and saw that it was an almost 30-minute drive just to get to this person's house. Since cooking 8 large pizzas takes a while to make, I was probably going to arrive at this person's house around 1 in the morning. I was a little annoyed that I had to stay so late, but I tried to look on the bright side of things and told myself that I was probably going to receive a generous tip, given the lateness of the hour, the number of pizzas that were ordered, and the distance from the shop. After about 35 minutes, the pizzas were finally done, so I put them in my car and set off toward the address. I arrived about 1 o'clock, just like I predicted, and drove my car up this steep driveway to an impressively big house. I sat in my car for a while and took in everything around me before getting out. Even though the house looked very nice, the front yard was in horrible condition. We don't get any snow from where I'm from, so the grass continues growing all year round. And this grass looked like it hadn't been cut for several months. That was the first thing that I noticed. The second thing was the fact that this gigantic house was located out in the middle of nowhere, up on this hill, and from where I was sitting in my car, it looked like nobody was home. There were no cars in the driveway, and the lights in the house were not on. Yet this house ordered 8 large pizzas to be delivered? I was hesitant about getting out of my car, but I finally did and walked up to the front door in hopes that this would all be over soon. As I was walking up the sidewalk to the door, I noticed that the grass around me was even higher than I originally thought. It must have been neglected for some time because it went well past my knees and covered this person's entire yard. That takes some time to do. I was about to ring the doorbell when I saw a piece of paper taped to the door. "Dear Pizza Boy, please come in. Do not ring the doorbell. Thank you." I disobeyed the note and rang the doorbell anyway. I waited a few minutes, but no one answered. I knocked on the door, then placed my ear closer to the wood to try and listen for any noises coming from inside the house. Hearing nothing, I just stood there on this person's porch in the middle of the night with 8 pizzas and no idea what to do next. I stood there a little while longer, not moving until I finally reached up for the handle to go inside. But then I remembered something. A couple of weeks earlier, a young kid named Billy Holmes was abducted in broad daylight, not even 3 miles from where this house was. Like I said before, I don't live in a bad neighborhood, so when Billy got kidnapped, it was pretty big news in our town because we are not used to such events. I took my hand away from the handle, convincing myself that delivering these pizzas wasn't worth my life. I turned around and was about to walk back to my car when I heard someone say something from inside the house. "Come in." The voice came from a woman, but she sounded far away, like she was on the opposite side of the house or something. I went back to the door and knocked again. "Come in, please. I'm upstairs." I slowly opened the door, making sure that the canister of pepper spray around my keychain was within reach. The inside of the house was very similar to the condition of the yard, unkempt. There were piles of garbage everywhere, and most of the house just looked like it hadn't been cleaned in a long time. Most of the lights in the house were off, except for the one in the room I was currently standing in and the one located at the top of the large staircase that was to my right. I heard the voice again. It was coming from the top of the steps, but I couldn't see anybody. "I'll be down in a minute." She spoke, only this time it didn't sound right. Something was off about her voice. I hadn't noticed it when I was standing outside, but now, since it was much clearer, I could tell that it wasn't a woman's voice. Well, it was, but it didn't sound natural. It sounded like a man imitating a woman's voice. Fuck this, I said to myself. I'm out of here. Right as I was exiting the house, the woman again said, "Can you please come up? I'm feeding my child. I have your money. Just come up and take it." I know I should have left by then, but returning with no money and 8 pizzas will make my boss frantic, so I walked upstairs. I opened the door and met with a mind-boggling sight. Several candles were burning throughout the room. A pentagram was scrawled on the floor in what I could only imagine was blood, and there was a visceral smell throughout the room that burned my nose and caused my eyes to water. A chair was set in the middle of the pentagram with a pile of human intestines lying in the seat, leaking blood all over the ground. A man dressed like a woman with piles of makeup on his face was sitting in a rocking chair holding a corpse of a little kid. He was staring at me with a sinister smile and said, "My son and I are having a small party. Isn't he cute?" What the hell? "Please, take your money from the table. He loves pizza, you know. Don't you, my little bunny?" Saying this, he started kissing the corpse, ignoring the maggots crawling all over it. Some even stuck to his lips, but without freaking out a single bit, he chewed those maggots like snacks. I couldn't stand the sight. Suddenly, the man got up and said in a cold gaze, "My son needs a father. Will you be my husband? We can be a happy family." Are you insane? You're one freaky dude. Who is this dead kid? How dare you call my son dead? You need to learn how to be a good father and a good husband. I'm not going to be your fucking husband. Saying this, I turned around to leave when I heard footsteps rushing at me. I looked back and saw that crazy man stretching his arms and making a pouted face running towards me. He screamed, "My son needs a dad, and I need a husband. Come to me, darling." I ran for my life. I jumped out the main door and got inside my car, locking the doors right away. The man came to the porch and watched me drive away, but shockingly, he didn't chase me anymore. He slowly went inside. I called the cops on my way and told them about this house, this man, and that dead kid. I don't remember how I reached home that night. It later came out that this man was a pretty sick individual. He not only killed the poor kid, but also performed black magic on him, thinking he was resurrecting him to be his son. The cops shared his investigating footage, where he was saying, "I just wanted to be a mommy, and my son loves me. All I needed was to find him a father and a husband for myself. I did nothing wrong. I will leave this cell and complete my family one day. Tell my husband I will find him and make him mine." I just hope he stays behind bars for the rest of his life. If he ever escapes, I know he will come for me. It's awfully disturbing to think that a full-grown man wants me to be his husband and the father of a dead kid.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
I am one of those people who don't like to order by phone. My children always criticize me and call me old-fashioned because no matter how much it rains, thunders, or snows, whenever we order food, I always go directly to the restaurant. What they don't know is that this is not a whim. I was 11 years old, and it was one of the first times I was allowed to stay home alone. My parents had gone to a friend's couples party a few blocks away and decided I was old enough to take care of myself. Any other kid would have been paralyzed with fear at the thought of being home alone all night, but that was not my case. I was incredibly cheerful since I had the house all to myself and could fall asleep at any time I wanted. Neither of my parents felt like cooking for me that night, so they ordered a pizza. They waited for the delivery guy to arrive, but he was taking too long, so they had to leave. I told them it was okay and I could wait for the delivery guy. They hesitated for a moment, But when they saw how happy I was, they ended up leaving me the exact money and leaving. The moment they left, I immediately jumped on the TV, turned up the volume, and put on my jammies. I knew it was going to be a long night, so I took my dog out to the backyard in advance. It was almost half an hour after my parents left that the pizza man arrived. He was running very late, so I treated him rudely. "I came with the pizza. Are your parents here?" "I'm alone, and you were late," I said with an offended and indifferent tone. "What? What's wrong with you, you little shit?" replied the man, clearly enraged. I don't remember much about that night, only that the man was very tall, although maybe he had a normal height, and I remember him that way because I was a kid. What I do remember is that he was very skinny. He had a bit of a beard, but it was badly kept. His hair was quite long, and I noticed that as soon as I opened the door, he was biting his hair. But at my answer, his face turned from disinterest to absolute anger. He looked at me as if he wanted to hit me, so I started to treat him better. I'm sorry. Take your money." "Who the hell do you think you are to treat me like that? Did Mom and Dad raise you this bad, or did you watch too much TV? I should slap you in the face." "I'm sorry, sir." I grabbed the pizza and quickly closed the door, to a surprised man who was still staring at me behind it. "Hey, what are you doing, brat? I didn't even count the money," he shouted through the front door. "All the money's in there," I cried. "I'm sorry I treated you badly. Please leave." A few seconds of silence. The man shouted again. "Oh no. Your imbecilic parents didn't leave me a tip. That's the least they should have done after letting their stupid son with me. Open the door and give me my tip." As he screamed, the man pounded hard on the door with his fists, which quickly turned into kicks when he noticed I wasn't responding. A few seconds later, as quickly as it started, it ended, and the man seemed to get bored and leave. My first reflex was to look out the window, but as I did, I saw him approaching me again with a big smile and something in his hand. When I realized that what he was holding was a baseball bat, I got out of the window and hid. Where could I hide? My first choice was inside the closet, but I quickly discarded it when I saw that there were too many clothes. Then I went under the bed, although it didn't bring me much security because it was such an obvious choice. Meanwhile, the man hit the door with a bat, and after a few seconds of hitting the lock, the door was open and he was inside my house. "Where are you, brat? Can't you see your damn pizza's getting cold?" As he said this, he tossed the pizza I had left by the door and started banging on the furniture with the bat. "You know, I had a bad day, but I have to thank you for being stupid enough to tell me you were alone. You better not go out. It's more fun to find you." With that said, he went to the closet I almost hid in and started beating it savagely. If I had been there, the wood would have cut my whole body. After destroying the furniture, for some reason, he left the room straight to the backyard, suspecting that I was going to escape that way. After he entered, my dog immediately attacked him. There were struggles and blows for a few seconds, until seconds later, someone came into the house and started shouting. "Roof, roof." I may have been a child, but I wasn't stupid. That was the man's voice. At that moment, I realized that something had happened to my dog, and I couldn't contain my sadness, and a little crying noise escaped from me. I thought he hadn't heard me, but it seemed he had, because a few seconds later, my dog's corpse was thrown under my bed, next to me. "I found you!" You know, I always considered myself a dog person. They're easier to hit than cats, he said while pushing the corpse of my pet with his foot. "Please, what do you want from me? Take the money and leave me alone. My dog and I didn't do anything to you." I screamed for the first time in a long time, crying inconsolably. Hearing me, the man pulled out the mattress and started hitting the bed with the bat, as if trying to break the wood and leave me trapped under its debris. Suddenly, the man stopped and started talking to me. "This has nothing to do with money. I'm just doing what your stupid parents didn't do. Do you know what that is, you little brat?" "Please, I've learned my lesson. I will never treat anyone badly again. I promise," I said, sobbing softly and shyly. "See? Again, you are interrupting the adults. Don't worry, I don't trust your parents. After I'm done with you, I'll make sure you keep your word." After these words, he hit the mattress on top of me again while I curled up where I was. I felt the wood of the bed start to cut me, and the only thing I could do was to scream for help. As if listening to my prayers, 2 men rammed into the cycle from behind and started beating him on the floor. The man quickly got up and took back his bat, with which he hit one of the people who came to my aid. But the other managed to get the bat away from him, and when both men were about to attack him again, my assailant ran out of the house. "Stay calm. We heard the noises and we came. We already called your parents before coming. Everything will be fine. Are you hurt?" The voice of a man I identified as my neighbor kept talking to me, but I could hear it farther and farther away, and suddenly everything went white and I fell asleep. When I woke up in the hospital, my parents were in front of me, in tears. They hugged me and told me that I had fainted. I had only superficial wounds, but I was fine. After returning home a short time later, my parents told me that they did not find the criminal, and that if I saw him again near the house, I had to use the phone and call them quickly, but that from now on they would not let me be alone, to which I nodded. I secretly listened several times as my parents talked about how this man was an ex-convict with a long history of violence and assaults. Earlier that night, he had gotten into a fight with a couple and had argued with his boss. Apparently, he was a man who avoided confrontation but got very violent with people he considered weaker than him. After that, I never ordered a delivery again. In the years following what happened to me, every motorcycle I heard near my house sounded like his, and I couldn't help but panic, and if the motorcycle stopped too close, I cried. A long time ago, my friend Jason and I decided to throw the biggest party our school had ever seen. It was our senior year, and we were ready to leave for college. So we decided to send everyone off with a huge bang. I arrived at Jason's house a bit early to help set everything out. It was a huge mansion in the hills, a few minutes from the town center. "Derek, you're finally here! Tell me you got it." "Yeah, my uncle hooked us up. We'll have enough for everyone." We were talking about beer. We couldn't buy it, so we needed someone to do it for us. My uncle ran a company that distributed all kinds of stuff, so he got us beer and lots of other drinks.
"Hey, Derek, come over. I want to introduce you to a friend."
That was my best friend, Luna. We grew up together in the same street, and now she was going to college thousands of miles away from us. That would be our last time hanging out. We went inside, and she introduced me to a girl. She was cute and really nice, but I forgot her immediately. I actually wanted to be with Luna. I had a massive crush on her ever since we were in the 8th grade, but I never did anything about it. I wish I had.
All right, think you can call up your uncle's company or whatever? People are coming in and we don't have anything to drink. If we don't get that soon, they'll bail.
"Damn, you're right," I said. "Let me go call them." I went outside with my phone and I called the number my uncle gave me. Soon after, a truck appeared and it carried everything we needed. Now, it was a party. However, we were still missing food, so I went inside and asked Jason what to do. "Oh, you're right. Let's get some food here. I'm going to DoorDash some pizzas here. I think 20 will be enough." "Are you crazy? That's way too much," I said. We both had drinks in our hands now. Music was loud and more people were arriving, so Jason left the house and made the call. About half an hour later, a small car was parked outside. It was the pizza place, so I went out with the money to pay for everything. When I saw the driver, I could not believe my eyes. "Delivery for 456 Park Road." He must have recognized the address because he was looking at the bill, but stopped when he realized where he was. And then he stared at me. His name was Pierce Donovan. He was in our class many years ago, and to be honest, me and Jason used to make his life hell. I never knew what we were doing was so bad. I thought we were having fun, but that night, I'd learned that Pierce never found it funny. Last year, Pierce had a nervous breakdown in school and his parents took him away to be homeschooled. We had never seen him again. He always had this sickly appearance, way too skinny, almost skin and bones, and his eyes seemed to be too big for his face. He had sharp features and big mousy ears. I remember we used to call him Rat Face. Hey, Pierce, a long time no see, I said nervously, but his face was dead serious. He looked at me in the eye, and I could feel his anger. Derek Anders, a long time no see. This is Jason's home, isn't it? Looks like a nice big party. He spoke in this whispery tone, really creepy. Yeah, we're graduating soon. So, well, don't let me keep you from it. Here's the bill. It's a total of... He trailed off for a second. Hey, finally the food is here. Took you long enough, pizza guy? Jason came out of the house and he saw the pizza guy, so he decided to come in and help me bring the boxes in. But as soon as he came close enough, he recognized Pierce, and that's when things went downhill. Whoa! Wait a minute. Is that Rat-Faced Pierce? What are you doing here? Oh, wait. No way. Don't tell me you're our delivery guy? Jason was slurring his words already and losing his balance, drunk. Yes, Jason, I am your delivery guy tonight. It's called work. People like me have to work and can't mooch off our parents' money like you. Jason tried to rush him and throw a punch, but surprisingly, Pierce ducked the blow, missed him entirely by a few inches. I grabbed Jason and told him to get back inside, and he argued with me, insulted Pierce again. But finally, some people from the party grabbed him and pulled him inside. Hey, Pierce, so sorry about that, man. And, sorry for how we treated you back in the day. I'm glad you have a job but he cut me off. Just pay for the pizzas, Derek. I have a lot of deliveries tonight. I did as he asked, and he got in the car and left. A few people helped me bring the boxes inside, and everyone ate, drank, and had fun for a while. Close to midnight, all the lights in the house went out. Jason had passed out, but we managed to wake him up. It was his house, so he had to check things out and get the power back. He was feeling better, with a clear head, so we went outside. Check it out. Those are the Davidsons down the road. They have power. A house in the distance, another mansion surrounded by trees, had lights coming from it. Let's go check the fuses and... Do you see that? In the house's driveway, there was a small car with its driver's seat door open. It was the car of the pizza place we'd called earlier. Yeah, I see it. What is that car doing here? I asked. All right, let's check it out. If that rat-faced idiot came back and he's messing with us, I'm going to make him pay. We got to the car and started inspecting it, lighting everything up with our phone's flashlights. That's when we heard a terrible scream coming from inside the house. Jason and I ran inside. Everyone, turn on the lights on your phone. Who screamed? What's happening? I asked. Oh, no. Oh, God, no! Jason was flashing his light at a spot behind the kitchen counter. When he saw me approach, he tried to push me back. But I forced myself and approached the spot. It was Luna. She'd been stabbed in the neck and had bled to death on the floor. Everyone around us screamed and panicked. They started running toward the door, but it was now locked and they couldn't open it. As everyone panicked, we heard a voice. I missed the last 2 years of high school because of you. I can't go to college and have to deliver pizzas because of you. We looked around, and at the foot of the stairs, Pierce was sitting down with a huge knife in his hand. He was looking right at us. You're not leaving here alive. At that moment, Jason rushed Pierce again, but Pierce was ready. He dodged, and in a swift move, he stabbed Jason in the stomach. Jason let out a cry and fell on the floor. People kept running around, but I grabbed one of the bottles and threw it at Pierce. I got him right in the face. He fell backward grabbing his nose, and I got Jason up, dragged him outside the room, and locked us in one of the bathrooms. I felt the banging outside as Pierce tried to get inside.
Derek, call 911.
I did, and when the operator picked up, I told them everything. Pierce had stopped banging on the door, but we were too afraid to leave. A few minutes later, the police broke through the door. Paramedics were able to get to us in time, and they took Jason to the hospital. He nearly died. He had lost a lot of blood, but with emergency surgery and transfusions, he lived. They caught Pierce and sentenced him to 25 years. According to the police, Pierce had been in and out of medical institutions. He was very sick in the head, and he blamed us for everything bad in his life. So when he found us, all of his repressed anger came out, and he decided to hurt us. He only killed Luna because he knew how much it would affect me, as everyone knew I loved her, and he tried to kill Jason because he was Pierce's biggest bully. Years have gone by, and Jason has become an anti-bullying advocate, and I finally graduated from college. I'm starting my life in the city, but I'll never forget that terrible night when I lost the love of my life and nearly lost my best friend.